Yo, we are live TDA post game show. Waiting on people to get in here, but we just got done watching this Alabama versus Western Kentucky. Very interesting game. It was a game that taught us a lot. You know, we got a lot to talk about. Got some things to talk about. Good things. There's some things that need to be worked on too. But Kalen DeBoer made a huge win on his first game as Alabama's head coach, first season game. I'm John Ivory. We got Justin Smith. You all know Justin Smith, scouting recruiting analyst, director of scouting recruiting for Touchdown Alabama. We're here. We're waiting on people to get in. But yeah, Justin, what's going on? What are your thoughts on this game, man?
This was a very interesting game. There's always so much to talk about when it's the first game of the season, but it's really interesting because it's first game of the Kalen DeBoer era. So there's a lot that comes to mind when you just take a look at what happened on tonight. It was definitely some bright spots. You take a look at how deep the rotation was on defense. I think that one of the things that immediately popped out to me. I think at one particular point in time, I posted on Twitter. I listed like 17 or 18 players who have played on that in that first half on defense. So of course that is by design because I think this new Alabama coaching staff want to see as many guys in live game action as possible before some more meaningful games happen. So I think that was by design. I don't think they would be that deep in the future, but I think they could possibly be deeper than Nick Saban's defenses have been in recent years. I think one of the more interesting points that's going to point to that is the fact that we saw something that I don't think many people expected to see. Jahad Campbell, Justin Jefferson, and Deontay Lawson were on the field at the same time in some packages. Quay Russo and Quindarius Robinson was on the field at the same time in certain packages. So that was really interesting from that standpoint. Of course, Ryan Williams showed everybody why his debut was so highly anticipated. I mean, 2 receptions, 139 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That kid looked really good, and I think watching him play and seeing him take the first snaps, he started. He was the first receiver on the
Yeah,
football field, so we know Ryan is going to get used early and often during his Alabama football career. He's not going to be a guy who's going to spend any time on the sideline. We saw Xavier Brown get in there. We saw Jalen Mbakwe get in there. Xavier Mincy, who I think Mincy was a guy no one really talked about during fall camp,
hmm
more like Xavier Brown, more Jalen Mbakwe, but Xavier Mincy was in there early on. Keon Sapp, great start his Alabama career with those 2 interceptions in the first half, and Crew Robinson, a guy who made a sack early on. So we see different guys stepping up for Alabama. I think we're starting to see that this team has a lot of depth and talent. But of course, this is the first game. It was against Western Kentucky, so you can't really dive too deep into a lot of stuff. Miro looked good at times, but I think the only I guess the biggest I guess the biggest concern would be the penalties and also just Alabama. How would they look on a more established drive? Because there wasn't a lot of established drives in this first game. It was mostly just big plays and so plays. It was like the drives there was never really one good established drive in this game. I think Kalen DeBoer and his staff wanted to see it, but unfortunately they didn't get to see it in this matchup because like I said, a lot of big plays. It was Ryan Williams 2 touchdowns. Jam Miller broke free for a touchdown. Jalen Miro ran for a couple of touchdowns. Justice Haynes had an 85-yard touchdown run. So there were a lot of big plays that came out of this game. So I think as a coaching staff, I would think Alabama's coaching staff wants to get to a standpoint where they are able to evaluate more established drives because those are the type of drives that are going to happen when you play against tougher competition. So we're starting to get. Like I said, I didn't think we were going to get a lot of answers in this game, but I just thought this was going to be like the first step in towards getting some answers for Alabama. I thought the offensive line, the right tackle position, Wilkin Formby looked really good. I think that's kind of like what the question mark was: who's going to start at right tackle
yep.
for the Crimson Tide? But then Caden Proctor gets injured, so Elijah Pritchard had to go to left tackle. So now I guess there's more questions about Caden Proctor, and I'm pretty sure Kalen DeBoer is going to update Proctor's status in his press conference, and then we're going to see how things go on from there. From there, the tackle position. So the tackle position remains a question mark for Alabama. The running back room looks really, really deep. Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, both of them almost rushed for 100 yards. I think Justice did rush for 100 yards. Even Richard Young, Flash. So they got the running back room looks as advertised. I think it also goes back to, like I said, that established drive. I don't think they had a lot of like those grinded out type of runs, those solid run plays. I don't think there were a lot of them. Of course, those are going to
Yeah.
come as the season goes on. But it's just one of those things. Alabama fans know you can't go crazy over Alabama beating Western Kentucky, but there's a lot to like about this team in terms of their depth and everything.
Yeah. It was a learning experience. It was good to finally see this new team. And I think for me, it was like it wasn't anything different. You know what I mean? It's still Alabama. That was cool to me because I was interested to see like what's going to be different about this team. You got a lot of new faces, a new head coach. What was going to be different? But it seems like the tide. That was cool. Shout out to people in the chat. We want to hear you all's thoughts. Make sure to call in. The number at the top of the screen, 205-898-4698. We want to hear what you got to say. You can call in, see, tell us your thoughts, what you thought about the game. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Eric D, Lil 1205, Deborah, what's going on? Roll Tide and Rise Up. The OG, what's going on? Don Parker is in here. James Knox. We got Patricia in here. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Definitely hit that phone line. We got some comments. Roll Tide and Rise Up said penalties and the O line has some things to work on. Yeah, the word penalties, just as Justin was talking about. Yeah, the O line. There was some things going on. I like that. Really, I don't. Well, Caden Proctor last year he was struggling. Um, I think it was Pritchard on the left.
Yeah, for sure. Left
Yeah, he
tackle.
did. He did. He was solid. Um, I want to see if maybe Pritchett might. I don't know. I guess Caden Proctor be back. I'm sure he'd be back on the next game. We'll have to see though. Um, DeBoer is speaking shortly. We'll see what he says. Andrew, appreciate you tuning in. The numbers at the top of the screen. You want to give your thoughts. We got Don Parker says the team has a lot of the same issues as the last two seasons: missed blocks, penalties, mistakes, and pass protection. Missed tackles on defense. We did
Yeah,
see
there
that.
were Yeah, there were a lot of missed tackles out, but that happens
Yeah, yeah,
from time to time for sure. But that's something you definitely have to clean up. Simple is one of those things that really goes down to technique. Guys bringing their arms, wrapping up and making tackles. I think one of the more significant ones happened. I think in the red zone when Western Kentucky was threatening to score. I think like 3 or 4 guys missed tackles, but Malachi Moore actually came and get a solid like tackle wrapped up, and I was like, yo, everyone. Of course, he's a veteran of that group, so I'm pretty sure he was telling guys, "Hey, wrap up. Don't just hit. Make sure you bring your arms and complete the tackle." And that just goes back to technique and not letting the moment get to you. Because when you're just running around and playing fast, you're just trying to make the big hit all the time, which is something that happens. You forget to wrap up at times, and I think that goes to where I want to talk about next is Alabama's defense was flying around. I think guys looked like they were confident in Kane Womack's scheme. They were flying
yeah.
all
That's
around,
what I saw, especially at the
making
beginning. They were
plays.
everywhere. They were everywhere on the ball.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's a big takeaway that these guys seem like they are having fun on defensive side of the football. A lot of different guys making plays. You saw James Smith, Quay Russo, Crew Robinson. You saw Keon Sal make plays. You saw Malachi Moore flash. You saw Jalen Mbakwe look really good. And just speaking of Mbakwe, I think his emergence to even be able to get on the field as a freshman is truly remarkable. Of course, everybody look at his rating and say this guy's a 5-star. Of course, he's going to get on the field, but unlike unlike your typical 5-star cornerback, Jalen Mbakwe hasn't played cornerback probably since he was like in the 9th or 10th grade, which is kind of crazy to think about. During his last couple seasons at Clay Chalkville, he played wide receiver as a sophomore and junior. Rarely played defensive back. I've seen him play. I went and evaluated him at Clay Chalkville. There were games he didn't step on the field at defensive back. He stayed at receiver, and even at his last season, he started at quarterback and did not play. He probably played cornerback probably less than 10 times during his senior season. And for him to come in and play during his freshman season at Alabama is truly, truly remarkable for Jalen Mbakwe. And that's something that's should really be respected. But yeah, he was one of those guys, new guys on the field. Xavier Brown was on the field, like Xavier Mincy was on the field as well. So a lot of new guys, I would say, making plays for the Crimson Tide. You still have Deontay Lawson. I like the way Jihad Campbell played as well. He was another one of those guys that was really, really flying around. So Jihad Campbell looked really, really good. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot that Alabama's coaching staff is going to be able to look back at. I think the
And just
penalty.
don't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
I actually, Caitlin DeBoer is live. I'm actually going to put it on the screen for you all to see. So let's check out Caitlin DeBoer right here. Let me make sure I can do this here.
Was excited to see him get out there and big third down down the sideline. Great read by Jalen with the coverage he was getting, and we anticipated a possible route down the sideline in a situation like that. It was really cool to see those guys execute and Ryan just haul in the ball and finish and coming across the middle on the second touchdown. It just really focused and it just doesn't seem like the game's too fast for him. So it's impressive that a guy, his age can go out there and do the things he's doing. Obviously we've talked a lot about him. He's got a bright future and really fun to see him go out there and make those plays that he did tonight. So the guys believe in him and he's just done. I think one of the cool things about Ryan is he's gone about it. A lot of attention gets thrown his way, but he's just gone about it and really humble and just, matter of fact, stay the course type of just go to work every type of day attitude. And our guys really appreciate that. And I think they're just as excited as he is for him, with the plays that he made today.
Yeah, it looked like Caden Proctor might have sustained an injury during warmups. What happened there? What's his status?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he did. Just caught me by surprise, obviously, and couldn't go tonight. And we'll continue to evaluate tomorrow just to see the severity of it, and kind of know more here as the week goes on.
Outside of Ryan, Xavier Brown, he got the start. Daniel Hill also got his first career touchdown. I'm just curious, what do you see, from that group of freshmen out there tonight?
Yeah, it's really exciting. It gives you a lot of promise for what's to come. And the thing about those guys is they're just going to gain more and more confidence with everything that they do. And those reps tonight, they all matter. And I tell the guys that every rep we're going to keep getting better as a team. But there are certain guys like the ones you mentioned, Daniel and Ryan, many others, Zabian, that just went out there and just didn't seem like the lights were too bright for them, and that's really cool. And they got again one day at a time. They're just going to keep getting better, and they're going to be great players for us in the long haul.
Just how explosive can this offense be? And did you like that? Did you like seeing that, or would you have almost rather have a few more sustained drives?
Both. I mean, but how can you argue, right? There's things that weren't perfect, but we made up for. So now what you want to look at is those plays that didn't go as well, and really dial in on, some of the mistakes, a penalty here, penalty there. We had a communication. I think we didn't snap the ball. I think maybe Parker was trying to signal something and get the line locked in, and that's just a quarterback center kind of being on the same page. And then all of a sudden, it was time to snap the ball when Jalen clapped. So just things like that we can continue to get better at. But when we had the opportunity to make the plays, I'm never gonna be disappointed that we're finding ways to have explosives. That's a big part of what our offense is about, and we preach it, we practice it, and that was fun to see. I didn't really realize it until I looked at the time possession, maybe into the first half there a little bit, and our defense, you saw that one drive, especially they were on the field for quite a while. That just kind of added to it. You know, I'm never going to argue though when we have those big plays, those touchdowns that we had.
Yeah, Coach, want to ask you about two guys. How did you think Pritchett played on the left side, given that I assume he's gotten most of his practice reps on the right side? And also your thoughts on Keon Sabb's night in the first half with
Yeah.
a couple of picks.
Yeah, it was, Pritchett really, as you said, I mean, he has, and I know you're not there, but he has taken pretty much all his reps at the right tackle spot. I think we really went back to what he did this spring playing left tackle, and it was something I know gave me confidence, and I'm sure it gave him. And he and Booker took all those reps, all spring long for 15 practices, and so I think they just really honed back in on that. I watched the film, but obviously there was a lot of good things that happened out there, and you don't do that without great offensive line play. So excited about the way he responded all of a sudden in the moment and getting thrown into that position and really just being steady. Keon Sab, just, the guy that needed it, was at the right spot at the right time and made the plays. That's what it's all about. A lot of guys will be where they need to be and all that, but a little special play here and there, maybe it goes through their hands. Keon, you can just see he was ready for that moment. He pounced when the opportunity came and made some really big plays and got our offense in some great field position there early in the game.
Coach, a big win, but everything outside of the actual game. Walk of Champions, fourth quarter, Dixieland Delight. What was your impressions of your first game at Bryant-Denny Stadium?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The Walk of Champions, I think, was special for a lot of our players. It's always going to be that way, and can't thank our fans enough. You can just feel the energy even before you're not even here around the stadium or knowing what's going on, but you can just feel the buzz, and that was a lot of fun. The new guys, I think, especially enjoying it. The older guys, just knowing what it's all about and being in that stadium tonight. We did a great job of giving them something to cheer for, and our fans were amazing. Cheering and being loud. So can't wait to do it again a week from now.
Right here, Coach. How do you feel like your staff executed the game plan as a whole on your first game inside Bryant-Denny? Can you clarify the in-helmet communication at the beginning of the game, what that was about?
Yeah, actually, so that it wasn't in helmet communication. It was actually that their headsets went down, and the rules state that when the opponent's headsets go down, you have to take yours down too. And so I'm sure you guys figured it out, but Nick Sheridan, play caller up in the booth, actually had to come down, and so little time, to get him down there, and then that's not something that they're gonna plan for and let you do, but we were able to hustle him down, and then of course trying to get him back up there, and then theirs went down a second time, and so it was kind of a back and forth. I thought our staff did a great job because that's something you don't practice. Just in all my years, I've never had it happen to where we had to put our headphones down because of someone else's. So maybe it happens more often than I understand, and should practice it. But that was a new one for me. I think also the other one that was new for me was, I think maybe by the third play in the game or one of the early plays, we had two helmets come off of two of our linemen at the same play, and so all of a sudden we had a different center, left guard, and left tackle from what we've practiced all along. So kids did a great job of just adjusting to the adversity, not getting too shaken, and just continue to play. And the next guys were ready to go. So I thought our staff, I think there's some little things. We had a substitution error. We got 12 guys on the field one time defensively. Those are certain things we'll talk about tomorrow, besides breaking down the film and coaching our guys up fundamentally and then schematically.
Yeah, Coach, it kind of looked like you guys rotated a lot of guys on defense, especially in the back end. Just how beneficial is it to get those guys the experience they got tonight?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And I'm really glad that we got that opportunity. And of course, that's part of what we want to do anyway, and keeping guys fresh, being able to sustain a high level for 4 quarters and not just dying off, but getting a lot of young guys. You see Mbakwe and Red are out there a lot, and so just they're right in the rotation, and felt good about them being out there. Never really, lots of sometimes when there's guys you don't trust or anything, your eyes kind of get drawn to them just to make sure that they feel good and they look confident, and that's not even the case. I don't even feel like I gotta worry about whether they're ready to go or not. So the secondary, just thought for the most part they really didn't have big mistakes where all of a sudden someone's running free through the secondary and we just dropped a zone or dropped a man that we're supposed to be covering. Always things that we can get better at, situational ball, some crossers and things like that I saw in the second half there, maybe that we can get better at covering. But for the most part, I thought they did a great job.
Coach, what makes it special having Jihad Campbell and Deontay Lawson play off each other?
Yeah, just having some guys with a lot of confidence in themselves and guys that we have confidence in, and just they're just staples. They're just guys you trust, and they're hard nosed. They both can move. Can run really well. They're physical, and so very smart. A lot of the communication, especially with Coach Womack to Deontay. He can Deontay can handle what he's supposed to do, and if there's someone we need to have just slightly move, he can make that happen and still have an understanding of what's going on in front of him from the offense. So just all those areas are so critical when it's the middle of your defense, and they again looking forward to watching the film, but just everything I saw, it seemed like they had a great game.
Sticking with the defense, just as a whole, how did you see them kind of embody Kane's swarm defense and sustain intensity to hold on for the shutout?
Yeah, I like the never say die, kind of like just dig in when they had their backs to the wall. Some drives that were coming down the field. One was after a turnover on the offense. Just looking at that as opportunity to make a statement. To just let everyone know that they got that mindset that they're going to play together, and it was really cool to see them get the shutout. I was happy for them, happy for Kane, and they're all flying around. There was some times we maybe missed a tackle, but there was guys right there to follow up and go make that play. And as we said, the 2 interceptions early in the game really set the tone with Keon, both with field position, just momentum and energy.
It seems like an awful long time since you got hired before you get to coach your first game. So when you finally get there and things are clicking so well and the offense is making big plays, defense is making big plays the first half. I mean, was that fun? Was that kind of a relief on your shoulders? What was that like?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of fun at the very end, and just seeing a lot of the young guys too get out there on the football field and have some fun of their own and experience it for the first time. But I told the guys in the locker room, none of these points carry over to next week, and there's film out there, and of course there's strengths we have, but people are going to look at those areas they can attack, and we got to continue to just understand that there's a lot of potential with this football team, but we still got a lot of work to do, and it's going to be that way all season long, and I think that what I saw in the locker room downstairs, whether it was the beginning of the game, the middle of the game, when we had a score very much in our favor, these guys have a determination, and a relentlessness about them where they want to be great. They just don't want to go out there and do their thing for a half and kind of just let the score kind of die off and kind of let someone hang around, or they wanted to shut out, they wanted to put more points on the board, and I just love their mindset. Awesome. Thank you. Roll Tide.
Well, that was Coach DeBoer with his presser after the game. Um, Hit on a lot of things. And if you're just tuning in, welcome to the TDA post game show. Make sure to call in. We're here to take your thoughts as well. 205-898-4698. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm John Ivory, Justin Smith, our director of recruiting at Touchdown Alabama. We got some comments. We're gonna get to the commenting on the DeBoer conference. We got some comments here. A lot of people talking about the penalties, which I like that people are not caught up. Alabama fans are different. We're not caught up in this. You're not caught up in this big win. You're focusing on what needs to be fixed. A lot of people talking about the penalties. Offense needs to clean up the penalties by Kevin Salter there. Sean Taylor talking about the penalties. I think penalties will get cleaned up, but we got to get better at our edge blocking. Left tackle was not sustaining blocks all that well. We got Kerry King. Good game tonight, Coach DeBoer. Roll Tide roll. We got Sean Taylor here. I did like Formby on the right. He held up. But again, I know it was just WKU. Bama has a lot more competition coming up, so we will see more. But yeah, Justin, let's talk about this press conference we just saw. Kalen DeBoer speaking Um, what kind of stuff did you hear or stood out to you?
Of course, the first thing, kind of like what I was talking about before he came on, was that of course, he would wanted to see more sustained drives, like he said. Of course, there were a lot of big plays. I think he wanted to keep Jalen Miro in probably a little bit longer than he would probably want to with the score like that, because I think he was looking for a more sustained drive and more big plays just kept on happening. So that was really interesting. Of course, Caden Proctor did get injured. I think we came in probably like right when he was trying to discuss that. And we'll get you guys updated on kind of like what was Proctor's situation, but Proctor didn't play because he got injured in pregame warmups, and it was a surprise. So we did hear Kalen DeBoer say that, and of course Elijah Pritchett went in at left tackle, and he did struggle at times. I think I think it was like first second play, Jalen Miro was sacked. Of course, the penalties have to be cleaned up. That was one of the differences between Washington last season and the Crimson Tide last season. So many people felt that the discipline that Kalen DeBoer instilled that Washington would transfer over to Alabama football. Of course, it still has a possibility of doing so, but I think there's a lot of different things going on in Tuscaloosa. It's so hard just come in with this new system, with a new coach, new players, and expect everything to go smoothly. So that is probably part of the growing pains that Crimson Tide will have to go through, but they have to fix them. There's no way around penalties. If you play a good team and you giving them 3 yards, it's going to come back and bite you. Like David Williams has said in chat, Alabama beat themselves with penalties. Of course, they're going to have to clean that up as time goes on under the Kalen DeBoer era. But I think the thing that stood out to me the most was the defense. Probably, I think that's something you could point at as being really good, because it doesn't matter who you play. If you shut out an opponent, that's impressive. So, and I think the confidence that everybody on that secondary seems to be playing with, I think that's something that's worth noting. So if I had to make a guess for what is my most legitimate takeaway, it's saying like, hey, this is a real takeaway. Even though it's Western Kentucky, I still can take this away as something pretty solid. I think the defensive players are confident in this scheme. Of course, they have to play better competition, so we see how good this defense really is. But they seem to be confident and comfortable in this defensive system, and for them to shut out Western Kentucky, I think it says a lot.
Yeah, it's a game. I knew that the boy will probably run the score up. You want to have a good first impression, go and run the score up, get it done. We got to see Ty Simpson, which was good. So to see some Dylan Lonergan too. Yeah, we saw a lot. It was a game. It was good to finally get to see the team. Football is back. We got to see Alabama. I know the fans are excited about that. I think everyone's thinking positively about this season. Um, like I said before, it looks like Bama. It looks like Alabama. So yeah, we will see with more competition coming up throughout the season. David Williams here talking about the penalties again. I know Alabama fans are probably uh kind of scarred by the penalties because there was so many penalties. I think with that in the last couple years from Alabama. So hopefully they'll have to work to clean that up. Like I said,
Yeah.
you can call in 205-898-4698 if you want to give your own thoughts on the game. Phone lines are open.
Yeah, another significant takeaway I probably would say is the amount of freshmen that did play. Of course, Ryan, and they played early too, because
Freshman.
Ryan, of course, was a starting receiver. Xavier Brown starting cornerback. Jalen Mbakwe played pretty early. Xavier Mincy played really early. Red Morgan looked really good, and I was actually concerned about Red a little bit because I felt like, yo, this guy is a really undersized. I thought maybe he would have to hold off because of that, but the way he played tonight, I see why it is difficult for Alabama coaches to keep this guy off the field. He just has a natural feel as safety. Even though he's a smaller guy, you see he's not afraid to make tackles. He played coverage really well. He's one of those unique prospects who he's a safety by definition of his position, but he's a guy who can be a corner because he got those long extremities, those long arms, which is what college coaches go after at that cornerback position. So Red Morgan looked really, really good. Xavier Mincy, Xavier Brown, like I said, Jalen Bakwe, Ryan Williams, just some of those freshmen who really got involved really early. Daniel Hill scored a touchdown. Of course, it wasn't one of the more meaningful snaps, but it showed just the future of Alabama's running back room, which continues to be very, very bright. So there's a lot, like I said, there's only so many takeaways you can take away in terms of how good Alabama played against Western Kentucky, but I do think it's just something to be excited about, at least optimistic about moving forward. And I think the thing I will be watching, some of the things I'll be watching the most moving forward is like how deep will this defensive rotation be when it is a meaningful game, because they went deep really, really quickly. Is this something that's going to happen every game? I seriously doubt it, but I just wonder how deep can they be on the defensive side of the football. Of course, you want to see this offense sustain more drives so you can see more plays and see this DeBoer offense in its full totality, because I feel like we didn't really get to see that as much tonight because of it was bad snaps at times, which it was something that hunts Alabama fans as well. It was times where Jalen Miro was pressured and he had to make plays with his feet, of course, that sometimes take away from the play design and everything like that. So there is a lot to be optimistic about, but there's still a lot to learn about this Alabama team. If you are a fan, it's a lot to learn. And I'm pretty sure Kalen DeBoer and his staff wants to learn some more, which is why he wants to have more sustained drives and more opportunities to just learn more and more about this team.
I got a question for you. Did you see anything different as far as the offense and defense, how it's ran, plays? Did you see anything different or that stood out to you like, okay, this is new, or they're not doing this no more, or they would have did this, something like that?
Wasn't really much different in terms of watching the game. I would say I almost felt like you a little bit when you like you said it looks like Alabama. I think that's kind of like a crazy. It's kind of like simple to say, but it looked like in Alabama teams in terms of the dominance, the way they dominated Western Kentucky, the way that you expect the Crimson Tide to dominate a team like them. So I think just from the surface level, it looked pretty much the same. I maybe I can say this. I'm not sure if the typical fan saw this, but maybe I can say this because we've went to practices, we've been around these guys on fall camp, we went to a couple of those media availabilities, and they just seem to it seemed to just pop out just when watching the game. These guys are playing so much more free under Kalen DeBoer. They just seem just more excited and seem to be having more fun. Not saying it wasn't fun playing under Nick Saban, but they seem to be playing a little bit more free. And I think that showed on the field, but it's something that I think we have been seeing with during the media availability and just doing at practice and just kind of like how laid back they are at times. So I felt that kind of like shined a little bit. So I think that's kind of like the thing I would say that was a bit different. Maybe Steven, Travion, and Pat, who are the staff members of Touchdown Alum who were actually at the game, maybe they saw from a different perspective with them being at the game and inside the stadium. So they probably saw some things that were a little bit different in person in terms of how this team looked on the field tonight. So I felt from like a general standpoint, I felt like it was the typical Alabama dominant performance. I probably the defense, like I said, they looked really confident. I would say that they looked really confident in the game plan. They were playing fast. Like there weren't a lot of guys thinking, they were just doing, and they were just letting their, I guess, confidence in the game plan and just going over it so many times. So they were just moving, and it wasn't too many guys just stuck around just thinking too much. To me, I
Yeah, I
felt I
saw,
felt they were playing football.
yeah, I saw that. And I was thinking like, is the defense still going to be that dominant defense? But yeah, they look like Alabama, like you said. But we got a caller. Where we're going to take this call here. You are live on the TDA post game show. State your name. Where you calling from?
Hey man, how y'all doing, man? My name is Ralph. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama.
What's going on, Ralph? What are your thoughts on the game?
Oh man, where do I start? Well, I would say they had a slow start, but I see where they started to put it together. Um, I started seeing Miro kind of hold the ball a little bit too much in the beginning, and then he kind of sped it up and get the ball off. I seen the offensive line uh, kind of, couldn't open up the gaps for the running game, but they kind of, got up to speed. So on the defense, I like what's going on. I like how they attack the ball. I like how the line put pressure on the QB and how they put pressure on the running game. Our secondary, it's going to need some work, but I like this game because it give us film. It give us, okay, we need to work on this. We need to work on this. We need to work on that. And I think we pretty good for so far. I think we gonna be pretty good if we can work on the small things like the penalties, uh, playing with a little bit more tempo, and pretty much everybody kind of getting to settle in and kind of get the feel of the game and move forward.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that. Appreciate Ralph. Appreciate you calling in, giving your thoughts on the show.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and it seems like I said, everyone's pretty much has the same concerns. It seems like, um, and the same positive takes, same negative takes. But yeah, like I said, there's more to come. Of course, this was a display of the new team. You get to see a glimpse of what's going on, but there's still a lot to learn, like Justin was saying. Do you have any uh reply to that call?
Probably just kind of like what you were saying in terms of just kind of like I guess this is what everybody is saying. I think like I said, Alabama fans are probably the most knowledgeable fans when coming to college football, but they know that they can't get too high about this Western Kentucky game. But there's a lot to just look at and see if Alabama's going to fix it, if they're going to get stronger here. Like I said, those tackles blocking along the edge. I think someone said that in the chat as well. Um, Alabama has to figure out the tackle position in terms of blocking, and of course the run game as well. Like they did get into more of a rhythm later on and start opening up holes. Like I said, it is the first game of the DeBoer era. I expected, to be honest, I feel like I expected a little bit more chaos, a little bit more people out of position, a little bit more things happening out of place. I remember I think a guy supposed to have been on punt. He ran out on the field late. It was little stuff like that that happened that you expected to happen because it's going to be some type of growing pains. Even if Kalen DeBoer has his great first season in Tuscaloosa, Alabama even makes the playoff, we expect some type of growing pain. So it's going to be certain situations where stuff like that is going to happen, and that's just part of it. But I felt like for him to be his first year in his first game in Tuscaloosa, I think it went pretty smooth in terms of just some of the things that they were able to avoid. He did talk about something that I think, to be honest, I think it is like a testament to Kalen DeBoer's experience and his staff at Alabama. He was talking about like the headset situation. Like that is something that happened really, really quickly. They had to make a decision really quickly because I'm pretty sure they didn't prepare for that. West Kentucky's headsets they didn't work. So you can't use headsets. I didn't even know that was a rule. And so basically Alabama couldn't use headsets. They had to send word to Nick Sheridan and say, hey, come down from the press box, come down from the elevator and get onto the field, which is something like we know because we go from the press conference to the field to the press conference room where Kalen DeBoer has his press conference. That's not the easiest. Like you can't get down there really, really quickly. So that was kind of a process. I'm pretty sure for him to leave the press box and come down to the field, and then they had to change it a little bit. Had to when they were expecting him to be in the press box, I'm pretty sure to change some things up. So when he was on the field, so that was really interesting. So along with just it being a new team, they had to deal with a situation on the fly. So I think it went pretty smoothly.
Yeah, the headsets look fishy at first. I was like, really? I don't know. Y'all trying to just get an advantage of what? Headsets went out. But let me ask you, as far as Jalen Miro, did he look like how you expected, or did you expect a little more? Or did he really how he was throwing, he really didn't have to work for this
Yeah.
game. He was throwing some bombs that was scoring. So what do you take away from Milrow as far as I guess more growth, or does he look more polished? Does he look like he needs to do a little more?
I don't want to say he looks like the same because it kind of said like he didn't grow, but he looked like Jalen Miro, like you expect Jalen Miro to look fast. We know he can run. He's easily one of the best running quarterbacks in college football. He can throw the deep ball. Deep ball was pretty accurate when he throwed it. I think the thing that people have questions about when it comes to Jalen Milroe is those short immediate routes, those medium routes, those type of routes, doing it just down in and down out when it's tougher competitions, when those holes get a lot tighter, when is a cornerback who can match up with those receivers. I think that is when you start to answer the question about has Jalen Miro really grown, and is he going to flourish in his Kalen DeBoer system? I think that remains to be seen. Once it's tougher competition, once it's better cornerbacks and safeties, guys who are 5-star, 4 stars, just like the guys Alabama has, I think that is when we're going to start to get those answers, and we're going to see if Jalen Miro can indeed take that next step and be for him being NFL quarterback, but a great Alabama quarterback this season, of course, for Alabama, and also possibly a Heisman Trophy winner because he put up some solid numbers today with 5 touchdowns. I think he's well on his way to still remain in that conversation.
Well, yeah, we saw Alabama's first season opening game, Kalen DeBoer's first game as the head coach, 63-0 win over Western Kentucky. Like I said, it was great to have football back. We got to see still a lot to see. Justin, do you have any final remarks? We're about to wrap this up.
No, I don't think I really have any final remarks. Just felt like it was a good game, and it's good for Alabama fans. I'm very sure to see some Alabama football, and I think it just gives us so much more to talk about in terms of like what we expect from this team, and I'm pretty sure Alabama fans are excited.
For sure. Definitely exciting. Make sure you all subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like the video. We got more content, especially at touchdownalabama.com. We're going to have tons of content articles coming out for you. Make sure to check that out. Tomorrow morning, we're dropping content all morning. Stay tuned for that. We're dropping videos. Also, stay tuned for In My Own Words on Monday with Stephen M. Smith, of course, diving more into the game and keeping you informed throughout all the week and getting on to the next game. So thank y'all for tuning in. Post-game show. I'm John Ivory. This is Justin Smith, our director of recruiting at Touchdown Alabama. And we will see y'all Monday, Steven Show, In My Own Words. See y'all. Have a good night.